everyone. I know a few of you have been giving the strength exercises a go, and there's a couple of them which are either too advanced at the moment or injury is preventing you doing some of them. So I thought I'd just put together a quick video of some of my favourite exercises. I love mixing it up all the time. I don't like doing the same routine over and over again, so feel free to sub in any of these with your weekly routine. I will be going through some step ups with each exercise, so if you've got weights and things like that, fantastic, you can add them in, but most of them are pretty straightforward, so give them a go, and any questions let me know. Hey guys, so the first exercise I'm going to use a resistance band. I know some of you already use these in your exercises, so you should be fully aware of their benefits, but basically I'm just going to pop it on my calves on this one, and then I'm going to pop another one on the second leg. So sorry, it's a little bit faffy, but there, we're all ready to go now. So I've got my resistance band on. Most of you will just have the single loop resistance band, so I would go for one which is actually quite hard. So this isn't an activation exercise. The purpose behind that is actually to strengthen your muscles. So the exercise we're going to do is really great for strengthening your glute, in particular your glute med. So what I'm going to do is put all of the weight into my left leg. I'm going to kind of brace my body like this, and then I'm going to move my right leg back in a 45-degree angle. Now what's really important is that my leg doesn't come out to the side and that right foot doesn't start to splay out, because as soon as we do that we start to work our piriformis and we're not we're actually working our glute. So like I said, very much back in a 45-degree angle, and if you can, look forward. And we want to aim to do between kind of 10 and 20 of those reps, and then as soon as we've done that, we're going to squat down into a low squat, again making sure that the feet are fully aligned. They can be pointed in slightly but just not out, and then we're going to do a step to one side and a step back to the middle, and again we're going to do 20 of those. You could start off with 10 and then work up, but because the resistance isn't huge, we're going to need a lot of reps. So we're going to do what's called a superset. So you're going to go straight from one exercise into the other, then swap legs, and then straight from one exercise into the other. So that's my resistance band glute workout. Hey guys, so the next exercise I'd like you to try is a twist, but incorporated with a body weight squat. So I absolutely love this exercise simply because it's very good at replicating the position that we're in on the bike. It uses all of the muscles we need for riding efficiently and effectively. So it works your glutes, it works your hamstrings, it works your calves, it works your quads, but more importantly, it actually starts to really work your core. So you'll feel your obliques, you'll feel your transverse abdominals, you'll feel your lats. So simply the exercise is this, and this is probably what a lot of you would start off with. So down into a squat position, and then literally twist from one side to another. Now the real important part of this exercise is that when I twist one side, my knees don't go the other. Now that becomes more and more important when we start to add weight. We basically don't want to do that, because then we're taking away all of the loading and all of the tension that we've created in our core. So once again, the exercise would look like down into a squat position, twist round to one side and twist round to another. And again, we want to aim for really sort of 10 to 20 reps of those. Now, this is not a cardiovascular workout. We do enough of that on the bike. This is all about strength and conditioning. So the idea is that we're not doing these as quickly as we can. It's literally very controlled, very precise movement. That's stage one. Let's talk about how we can make this more difficult. So for any of you that have got a medicine ball at home, this is the perfect exercise to use one of these. If not, a small handheld weight can be used. In times like these, I've seen people be really resourceful and use filled water bottles or gallon jugs. Get creative, but again, Here's what it would look like with the medicine ball. Depending on how strong you are, depends on how far you'd be able to hold it away from your body. But essentially coming into a squat position, twisting one side and then twisting the next, and really finding it hard not to twist your knees. So difficult exercise, and one of my favorites. The other modification you can use is using a Bosu ball. So this is a really small Bosu ball that we have for traveling. The traditional ones are obviously filled with air and look very different, but the next stage up with that would be to get on the Bosu ball and actually do that exercise whilst trying to stabilize yourself. So very tricky. I'll just show you what that looks like. It won't be perfect because these things are incredibly wobbly, but basically down into a squat position and then twist from one side to the next, and you can just see how much my legs are moving, and you have to think every time they're doing one of those small movements, it's working all these stabilizing muscles that you use, especially when you're out the saddle. So awesome exercise. Whew. It's got me a little bit out of breath, so give that one a go. Cheers. So the next exercise I'm going to ask you to try is a one-legged deadlift. So this would be a good sub for lunges or wall squats or anything that requires a lot of pressure going through the knees. Because we're not bending the knee, it means that your quads and your hamstrings are actually taking most of the load. So whereby a lunge might be too strenuous or too much pressure on your knee, this is a really great alternative that still works your posterior chain, which is basically all the muscles on the back of your body. So it requires a lot of focus. I haven't actually done this one for a few weeks, so if I'm wobbling, apologies, but it just shows you how good the exercise is. So I want you to stand on one leg. You need a slight bend in that knee, but not huge. We also don't want the knee to be completely locked out. So just start by taking a bit of weight into that foot, and then assume you've got some dumbbells or fake dumbbells in your hands, just because it helps with balance. You want to slowly lower these down to the floor, keeping that leg straight, and the one out the back is purely for balance, and then you want to stand up. But when you stand up, you really want to push through all of your hamstrings and your glutes. So again, it's that exercise. Down slowly, and then back up in as controlled manner as possible. Now again, the idea is not that you do these really quickly, we want to do them as controlled as possible. So a modification for that, naturally, the adding some weight. Doesn't have to be a heavy kettlebell, you can start off with a couple of dumbbells, or I've seen people do this again with small water bottles in each hand, or a tin of tomatoes, really doesn't matter. So adding some weight into it, it would look like this. So you want the placement of your weight not to be really far out from your body, almost like you're just controlling dropping it onto the floor just in front of your foot, and then bringing it back up. So I would start off again with doing 10 of those on each leg, see how you get on. So the next exercise I want to show you is a hip bridge or a glute bridge, but done on a Bosu ball. So this is a great alternative for exercises which are looking to engage your back in a more aggressive manner. So if you've got a bad back, this is a good one to start off with. It's also a great exercise to start strengthening your hamstrings. So hamstrings play a huge part generally in your core stability. We'll use them a lot obviously when we're pedaling on the flats, but it's surprising how much they come into play when we're out of the saddle. So I love this exercise just because it really does start to strengthen your hamstrings if you do a lot of them. So again, I'm on my funny little Bosu, but basically what you want to do is put your feet up on your Bosu ball and then come down onto your mat, head down, and then literally just press up into a glute bridge or hip bridge. want to bring your body up by squeezing your glutes together and engaging the hamstrings. So you really should feel this in your hamstrings simply because your feet are higher than your glutes on the floor. So by raising the feet up, we're engaging the hamstrings. Now, it's easy to make this one more difficult. You could obviously add more height with your feet, or you could stop using your arms. So position number one would be using your arms to stabilize yourself like this. Obviously, modification number two would be your hands in this position. Modification number three would be hands completely off the floor, so all you're relying on is the stability of your, or the strength should I say, in your hamstrings and your glutes. Now if that's too easy still, then literally just by coming an inch or so away from the Bosu ball, so the further our glutes are from the ball, the more you're going to feel it in that posterior chain. So I can really feel that in the whole of my hamstrings and the whole of my calves. So like I said, great exercise for not only activating but more strengthening your posterior chain. So give it a go. Again, 10 to 20 reps. Yeah, try it out. Hey, so the next exercise I want to show you is what I call bugs. I've already shown you individually this a couple of times. So the reason I love this exercise so much is it utilises your hip flexors, strengthens those, which are incredibly important for out of the saddle riding. And they also strengthen your TVA, so your transverse abdominals. Now, these are crucial for alleviating back pain. So every time we ride a bike, whether we're in the saddle or out of the saddle, the TVA is tensed and helps to support the back. So if that's not strong enough, then basically the back's doing too much work and it will start to really hurt. So there's lots of modifications you can do on this exercise, so just pick whichever level you feel you're at. I'll start with level one. So lie down onto the mat, head down as well, and you want to start off by just tensing your core. So the easiest way to describe it is if someone was going to punch you in the stomach, you tense. So that's what we want to do. That's kind of a go-to position. And then lifting this one leg up with this core still tense, and then putting it down again, and then just swapping. So that is literally level one. And if that is absolutely fine, we're going to move into a more kind of like a switching motion, which looks like this. So it starts with one leg up, and then you just switch them. So again, keeping that core tensed. Now the really important thing is that we have this 90-degree angle, so it's really easy for us to kind of want to have a bit of a break in the middle of that exercise and for our legs to come up here, because as soon as it goes past vertical, it's a nice rest. So when you're doing this, it's crucial that your legs stay vertical. So next mod is starting with your legs both up, taking one leg down out straight, and then the next. So on all of these, we want to aim really to do about 20 of them. So they're very light exercises with lots of reps. Then if that's again becoming too easy, we can add our arms in. So one leg down, both legs up. One leg down, both legs up. So again, doing about 20 of these, making sure that core is tight and tensed at all time. So you'll probably see that I'm shaking a little bit. That's just because I'm really tensing my core. And then finally, you can add a weight in. I love water bottles, so sometimes I'll do these before I ride. So my water bottles are full. You might have one in both arms like this, or you might have two, one in each arm. But basically the idea would be adding a weight in to the exercise, just to make it a little bit harder. So there you go. Hope that helps. Great exercise. It is tough. We don't ever seem to do enough work on our TVAs, so give it a go. I love it. Hey, so I hope you've enjoyed my modifications. Like I said, the key to these is mixing it up all the time, doing a different exercise each time we do these strength routines, which are normally every Monday and Friday on our rest days. Keeping it fresh, keeping your body guessing as to what's coming next, and I'm a huge believer of little and often. So when I'm putting together my strength and conditioning routines, they never really last any longer than 15-20 minutes, and that's really because then it becomes sustainable. I'm then not exercising too much that the workout the next day is compromised, and it's not taking so much time out of my day that I feel it's not achievable. So by keeping it 10, 15, 20 minutes long, it means you're more likely to do it, and we all know how important consistency is. So any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I guess there'll be more to come in the future. Alright, catch you soon.